This episode is supported by MonsterJoysticks.com. Level up your Raspberry Pi with our all-in-one arcade kit using genuine Sanwa arcade parts. Hello cave dwellers, remember the internet in 1998? And how we all cried, how on earth do we surf the internet cyberspace superhighway web without getting lost? Well, me neither, because search engines were a thing. From Yahoo's hip icons to Alta Vista here, Excite, dating back to 1993, and Webcrawler. Even Google was around in 98, and Jeeves, with his smug expression, was serving up web pages, so we were perfectly capable of finding our way around cyberspace. And yet, for some, navigating this strange new world needed a familiar helping hand. And what's more reassuringly familiar than a book? A big yellow book, no less, like the big yellow book we used to find a plumber or an electrician. This particular book is in no way unique, there were plenty of them on the shelves, but this one is mine, and it's the New Riders official World Wide Web and Internet directory from 1998, promising us that we can spend our time learning and not searching for just £18.49 or around $20 US. So, with this book and a little help from the Wayback Machine, let's see what the Web of 98 had to offer us. Our book is divided up into categories and subcategories, from animals, arts and business, through to travel, with relationships and sports seemingly having the most subcategories. And someone, it seems, has found the contents page to be more useful by the looks of things for blotting their lipstick. It wasn't me, I promise. Anyway, it's intuitively laid out and easy to read. For each listing, like this House Rabbit Society homepage here, we get the URL, a description of the page, and this particular one has been chosen for a New Riders Press top pick, as indicated by the symbol. Where better to start then than at this page, rabbit.org. And here it is in 1998. It's actually not too garish in its colour scheme or layout for the time. We can find out about rabbit care, behaviour, adoption, and see some photos as well. It's quite a text-heavy website, making full use of those hyperlinks. And what photos are here are minuscule to allow for our dial-up modems to cope with the whopping 7 kilobyte size of each one. As it happens, rabbit.org is still going strong, and here's the site today. It maintains a fairly clean and informative layout. 20 years of saving bunnies on the internet. Great stuff, and that's not a bad start for our book, is it? But I don't want pet rabbits. What I want is some food, so I'm going to take myself over to the restaurants section, which is surprisingly absent of pizza, running with just 14 listings from Ben & Jerry's ice cream to a virtual pub crawl of Hull. Yes, in a directory covering the entire web in 1998, that's about 2.4 million websites, its top 14 restaurant picks include a virtual pub crawl of the English port city of Hull. And I'm sorry to say the website no longer exists, but fear not, the Wayback Machine can show us how it was. And it was very 90s, with a brown tiled background texture to get us in the mood for a pub crawl, and a map of the city with hotspots on which we can click to see where to enjoy some delicious room temperature ale and maybe a game of darts. If we drill down through some of the links into Hull Old Town, we find the Bonnie Boat and some useful information on it. Smoking is allowed throughout, as the UK public smoking ban doesn't yet exist, and darts is on a Monday for the gents or Tuesday and Wednesday for the ladies. Our book really is an interesting mix of recognisable names through to random personal web pages. Like this, Justin's Command & Conquer fan page, listed alongside commercial games producer Interplay and id Software, creators of Doom and Quake. Everyone with a web page is treated as an equal here. While Hull was a shining beacon in the restaurant universe in 1998, the government pages are heavily influenced by US websites, like the White House homepage here, which is a .gov domain. In 98, the .com domain of the same name was an X-rated site, much to the ire of the presidential White House, and Dan Parisi, who owned WhiteHouse.com, was making a reported $1 million a year from it before selling it in 2004. Some, it appears, haven't quite grasped the use of their DNS records, with Second Spin, a used CD trading site here, listing their IP address, which doesn't really roll off the tongue. Meanwhile, in pop music in '98, we were, ironically or not, enjoying Alanis Morissette, and this was her webpage. It's complete with a visitor counter. They used to be on every website you visited in the 90s, and I don't know about you, but I'd refresh the page just to see if I could make it click up a number. I'm sure I wasn't the only one. Alanis offers us some very 90s photos of herself, which look like they were scanned from a magazine, and likely were. Back on our homepage, Alanis encourages us to write me, and she really does mean write to her with a pen and paper, using the screen address which she is inexplicably licking. Counting Crows are one of the few to register their band name as a domain, and Tom Petty here is rocking a GeoCities page address which made full use of animated GIFs and HTML tables. Fancy stuff. Finally, if we dip into media, subcategories here include cable TV, comedies and sitcoms. NBC, CBS and HBO links are featured heavily, so those American networks were embracing the web at this time, as was the BBC over in the UK. And the AdamsFamily.com domain is registered, but it's an unofficial fan site, promising us downloadable film clips. Here's how it looked. And of course, if a website had film clips in '98, it very likely meant, yep, Real Player is involved, offering us 28.8 or 56K streaming quality options. And here's that high quality version of it in all its pixelated goodness. The funny thing about this Addams Family website, however, is not how it looked in '98, but how it looks today in 2018. Here it is. The information is updated, but the style is exactly the same. A truly outstanding effort by the webmaster here in sticking to that 90s style. I really hope he still uses Microsoft Front Page to edit it. I don't know about you, but I could spend all day trying out the links in this book. As a way to discover websites, it kind of works, you know. As I've been flicking through it, I've come to realise how few unique domains I actually visit these days. That's not to say I have access to less information, it's just consolidated into a smaller circle of websites like Reddit, YouTube and maybe Amazon for some shopping. It was unrealistic in 1998 to expect to catalogue 2.4 million websites in a book, and today that's over 1.7 billion registered domains, about 75% of which are parked or not active, so we're looking at around 400 million active websites today. But I do enjoy the haphazard way they've chosen the entries in this book, and how fan sites are treated as equals to the corporations who are getting to grips with how best to leverage the technology. It all felt a bit more Wild West back then, and I kinda like that. We'll round off our look at this book with a moment of self-awareness. In amongst the listings is a web page for an online version of this book, searchable by keyword and with thousands of additional sites. It's almost as if it's admitting there are better ways to search the World Wide Web. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed flicking through this with me today for a quick tech nibble, and I'll see you all in Hull for a pint. Thanks for watching, and take care. Thanks to everyone who watched this episode, and especially to the names on the screen. These are the official cave dwellers, the patrons of the channel who signed up over at patreon.com. You can find a link to that in the description of the video if you fancy lending your support. And if you haven't already done so, take a moment to subscribe and come back soon for more videos. Thank you again, and take care.